Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Armand, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Spence.
Morning.
Good morning. And Mike is here.
Yep.
Yep. And Gal is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And this is the one Sunday during the year that I really hate, but it's you have to just go through it, right? I mean, most
What,
people,
the hour they took from you?
the hour they take from me. I mean, and they don't ask. But yeah, it's all right.
My wife's happy. It was 1 hour less of me snoring.
Well, you got to look at the silver lining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember Kathy waking me up yesterday about, I don't know, 11:30 or 12. I was already in bed sleeping. And she said, "Did you do the clocks?" I said, "Oh, no, I forgot. Sorry." And I figured I'll do it today. And I woke up this morning and I'm looking at my clock on the nightstand and it says 5:30. So I said, okay, so it's 6:30. I need to get up. No, it says 6:30. I'm sorry. So it's 7:30. I need to get up. And I got up and I'm looking at my watch and it says 5:30. And I said, oh, she already changed it. So I went back to bed. But
my atomic clock hasn't updated yet.
I have not.
I might have to force it.
I never had one that actually did it.
This one's pretty good. It wags a little bit, but every once in a while I have to hit this synchronize button. So I'll come in and look at it in the morning, and it will be Zulu time. So how does that happen? Did they send a weird signal out, or I don't know.
The radioactivity doesn't reach here.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't put it in a Faraday cage.
That's it. Well, it's been in the same place for probably 15 years.
Oh.
I haven't moved it.
Anyway, so what is happening?
I got a technical story.
Oh.
Yeah. Something that probably hasn't ended yet. So not my network, but a friend's. We're setting up a server full of services on them for home and like office use, putting on Nextcloud and Bitwarden. Nextcloud is like a Google Drive alternative. It's like a online storage thing where all of your satellite machines, they can synchronize to it as well, and you can access via web in a secure way. Bitwarden, I've talked about it before. It's password safe that has plugins to everything, so you can use that. And it's all on a Linux system running Dockers and all the good stuff that I like playing with. But so the technical story starts by got everything set up. Everything was running fine, but it runs fine as long as I'm contacting from outside his network. So all the routing and all that is working excellent. The HTTPS certificates are assigned properly. You can access everything from the outside, but when you're inside the network, whether you're wired or wireless, it doesn't work. Servers returning turning timeouts and strange conflicts, and doesn't make sense. So we sit down, I visit him, and we sit down and look at the network. And it's a bunch of, it's a router connected to a bunch of small switches, and at the end, the server. And we're thinking, why wouldn't it work? Now, the biggest crunch is sometimes it works. So that's the worst type of
And you couldn't,
malfunction you wanna troubleshoot.
and
Sometimes it works. One
and you couldn't recreate a situation where it works. It
can't
was just
figure
out
out
of nowhere.
why it works
Okay.
and why it doesn't.
Okay.
Is it still a problem?
It's still a problem in a way, but I found a solution. So one of the nice thing about the Docker architecture, right, is everything is a single machine on the network, sort of, right? It's the same idea of VMs, just managed in a much better way for resource-wise. And so I take off almost everything, keep only the reverse proxy that answers for all of the requests, boot up only one of the services, something very basic that I can test, and I launch a Docker with Wireshark, right? Trying to see what happens to the connection, what happens to the communication. And I see a bunch of TCP retransmissions stuff. It's like nobody's answering properly on the network. What I find to fix the issue is if I put in the hosts file on the machine I'm testing, if I put the local address for the external host name, everything works. So it has to do with the routing of the address, right? So if I'm going to example.com, right, that returns an external IP, the real IP in the world for it. So what it means is that from the inside network, the router is going to answer me, right? So if I change the host file and say example.com is on my internal network, right? 192.168 something, that answers fine. So it was, I figured out it's something to do with the routing outside. Still don't know why. We mused that it might have been the router he's using, a router supplied by AT&T, and maybe something in the routing software there doesn't like the fact that there's additional hops inside the network. It goes through a couple of switches, because it seems that everything that is connected wired directly to the router functions well. So
Yeah, but the switches aren't layer 3, right? They're layer 2.
no, they're not managed. They're nothing. They're very. They're practically hubs, right? Like smart hubs.
You could have the good old famous killer packet running around somewhere. Something's putting junk out on the network that's causing the chipset either in the router or in the switches to roll over. I've seen that happen where there's just a weird malformed packet coming out of one of the ports on one of the switches, and it's just enough to throw everything out of whack. Try eliminating each switch in order,
Mm-hmm.
and see what
Yeah,
happens. Try to start where you know it works, and then add switches and keep adding that same machine beyond each switch, and see at what point it fails,
that
and see if
yeah,
that way you
that might work.
because I've seen it where even layer 2 stuff can really mess up, or you might have a bad adapter card that's just putting crap out there. Sometimes the size of the packet is weird and the switch doesn't know how to deal with it, or I mean, these are old school problems, but it could be
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm definitely dealing with some old school problems.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe lowering the MTU. I
yeah,
mean, that
yeah,
might
and
that
see,
might do the
yeah,
trick. I'll check. I'll try to play with that as well. In any way, I end up spinning up a Docker that does DNS and DHCP. So that same server is going to serve DNS and DHCP, and because it's going to be the internal DNS, it's going to answer uh, the right addresses when queried internally, but will never affect the outside world. So outside, everything is going to work the same, and just shifted the responsibility to the internal DNS server. And I was so surprised when it started to work. It was like, this is a long shot, but maybe that worked. Now I said we didn't end because apparently not every piece of um, not every piece of
Equipment.
equipment worked. The newer stuff, the Alexas, you had their a Fire TV, they stopped connecting home for some reason. So we're now back to thinking on. We're pretty sure that what introduced the issue is the new router that he got from the company, from the internet company, from the ISP, and we're trying to replace that or put something in IP. How they call it?
Who
IP
who
Are you
is
bypass.
who is it with?
AT&T.
are you allowed to
You
make any changes to the router?
Doesn't seem so. The router is pretty strict. It doesn't even allow me to choose a different DNS server, the router. So that's one of the annoying traits of it.
I
It
think
does allow to have an IP. Forgot,
I
like like a demilitarized zone server, and then you can transfer all responsibility to that router, but that's the only thing it allows. Amnon, you were asking?
no, I was saying, I mean, I have also I have AT&T and Spectrum, and the AT&T, you cannot use your own router. I mean, your own modem. And if it's a router and he has his own router, then there's a conflict there. You can't do that. You have to ask them to put it in bridge mode.
So we found there is an option to put the router in. It's not exactly bridge mode,
But
right? But I can switch off the DHCP,
yeah,
and I can put the I can assign a single IP to be the server that answers everything.
right.
They call it IP.
Well, it's kind of like creating a default of kind of an interim default gateway.
IP pass-through, they
Yeah.
call it. Yeah. So once you set that up, if it's set up properly, then the internal router can answer anything. It does go through another step of natting, right?
Wait.
But
What do you mean the internal router?
so the AT&T
Yeah, device.
modem router,
Right.
has an IP pass-through option. When you set the IP pass-through option like that, and you disable DHCP, you can even disable wireless.
So
So you can put a router behind that router,
yeah.
and that will be in charge of everything. But
So he
it's from an
does.
internal.
So he does have his own router also.
Well, he has a router, an old one, and we're going to connect that, and
Oh, okay.
we're
But
going to try to see if that's going to fix everything.
at this point, he's using only one router, the one from
Yeah.
AT&T. Okay.
Yeah.
If the problem started with that new router, I'm going to guess that they somehow configured it wrong.
Well, we're
Yeah,
guessing here because the
yeah,
server is newer than the router, right? So
yeah.
I haven't seen the server work
Oh,
without the router.
well,
That's why we're,
it still could be the router's misconfigured and it's the old server is also, oh, the new server is configured differently, but should work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gala, you looking in the chat?
Just now.
Alfredo is asking.
Yes, Alfredo, exactly like that. Cloud internet, well, to the modem, which is also a router, but because pass-through is configured, then you can have any router you want in the background. So let's say you want to run a Tomato router. Tomato is a router framework that a lot of routers support. So you can just flash the router to work with this very open and easy to
So
control
if
software.
you have a tomato router and an onion router in your network, can you make tomato sauce?
No, maybe Tor.
I think that's cool. We got all these vegetable routers out there.
Yeah,
It's gonna-
Tomato firmware is an amazing router firmware. If you don't know it, I recommend checking it out. Provides stats about usage, allows to do controlled browsing for families. You want to shut down the internet for at a certain time for a certain device, stuff like that. It has nice tricks in it.
Is it kind of like DDRT? Then you can reflash an existing router with
Yeah,
tomato
yeah,
software.
yeah. It's a project that DDWRT is much more. I think um, it's a huge open source project that keeps getting updated and stuff. Tomato, although I do think it's maintained, is I think it's a one-man project, or at least it started as a one-man project. Traceroute, hops, well, traceroute and stuff like that, ping worked fine, but that's why I hooked up Wireshark to start seeing what happens on the network level, and it was ugly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you see a lot of extra, it could be stuff just timing out because there's so much junk on the network.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Oh, this is fun talking about this because this used to be we things got better over time, but back in the old days when we configure our own auto exec and config.sys for networking and all, and it's like you just would struggle to get anything to work. We used to build labs and classrooms on the fly to try to recreate training environments and what that was like. I had my own lab at Nortel where I had my own DNS server and I had my own Microsoft Exchange and I had my own Lotus Notes and all this stuff, and it was all illegal within the company. But
Yeah,
I was able to set up the host file so that I could find it from anywhere inside the company and I'd use it. It was great. I applied to try to get an actual IP and DNS entry, and it was just such a big freaking deal that it wasn't worth it. I just said, heck with this. I'm just going to do it on my own. I had people from all over the world in the company using my Lotus Note server so they could test new iterations of the IP calling software that was written custom to work with. I mean, literally people in Ireland and in South America and all that stuff. They're all, can we get to your server? Yeah, can you give me an email? I did. Yeah, no problem. Those fun days.
Yeah, you wouldn't be
yeah.
able to do that today.
No.
No. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Um, Alfredo said you can do Alfredo sauce.
Yes. You can go to the grocery store and pick up a different can of firmware.
I I don't know, about 6, 7 months ago, I got the new Asus I think it's 1750 or something like that. Anyway, and Ron wanted to do backups for Delta Force from here. So I gave him a machine. He built a server, a Linux server, and we put it here, and it would not really connect. So he realized that it wasn't doing IPv6. That the router was not doing IPv6, and I don't know what led to what, but he said no, let's change it, and he put that DDRT stuff, and things just like magic started working. And I'm impressed with all these things that people are doing, and this is one reason, guys, that you should not get why you should not get rid of an older router, because you can always take that router. There not every router can take those updated firmware. Let's call them updated.
Yeah, it's really
And
chipset driven, not so much the router itself. It's what chipset the router
yeah,
company bought to
and
build their product.
and
Yeah,
Well,
and
that and memory.
yeah, memory. That's true. Memory.
some of the older routers are working great for that, especially the Linksys. So don't figure, oh, that router, it's no good for anybody.
Part of the reason why it worked so well on Linksys is because Linksys's own software was so bad that
Well, I mean, no, I
it's
mean
like, let's fix it.
yeah, I could never stand Linksys.
Yeah, so Tomato and DDWRT, they were really hot during the early 2000s because the
They
router
still
software wouldn't the default ones, right? They wouldn't allow anything to be done.
they still are. I mean,
Some of them are terrible, I agree. And that's why the alternative, I mean, we need to remember the routers are built by hardware manufacturers, right? Where they have a line they want to manufacture, and they do it. Some of the designs, they're basically template designs, right? So the hardware might be okay, but writing software is an ongoing project. And it's not like, oh, I made this line, I wrote some software for it, I manufacture it, I live and I don't look at it anymore. I move to the next line, right?
mhm.
Software needs to be kept updated, needs to be all the kinks needs to be worked out of it, right? And most hardware manufacturers, they don't do that. So
Yeah,
writing software shouldn't necessarily be the work, the job of the hardware manufacturer. And that's what we get.
good morning,
Good morning.
Alfredo.
Hello? Yes.
Good morning. What's up?
Good morning. Well, I know you guys were talking about routers and network stuff, but I wanted to kind of segue into cybersecurity. And I was looking into taking classes at UCLA Extension, and I was curious about what are your thoughts about cybersecurity?
What what do we talk what do we think about?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I mean, to be on the cybersecurity of things, uh, is the best route you can take today in computer science.
It's one of the
Hmm.
fastest growing
Yep.
job opportunities and fields out there. It's like every organization, whether it's commercial, government, is is trying to get on top of this. So it is really an important place to be.
What
Smart.
are the
It
classes that you're going to take? I mean, cybersecurity is a huge field. It's like
um
saying I'm going to
let
learn
me look.
computers. It's
What is the search again? I have to look up those six search that they said I would get.
hmm.
One of them was Network Plus. I remember that. and the other one was an ethical hacking. But there were 6 certain certs that I would get once I went through the course. The other thing that kind of held me back was the cost of the training, and it was actually 11K to get this. I know. I got like it's a tempting offer to get through cybersecurity, but the cost is like, wow. Let me find work first before I get into cybersecurity.
Don't worry, the government will lend you the money.
Okay. The government will lend me the money.
Bernie says it should be free, so call Bernie.
Yeah, it should be free.
Call Bernie. But the reason why I voted against the cybersecurity courses was just the initial cost was kind of steep for now, but gonna work on getting.
There may be some things out there as far as introductions go that are free. Some universities might offer non, what do you call it? Non-credit bearing courses for certain subjects that you basically audit the class remotely, take the whole thing, but you can't get any credit for it, but at least it's an introduction.
Well, check Coursera.
So you might find some school that has a really good comp sci department with cybersecurity, and you can take introductory classes.
Yeah, I've never thought about auditing a course, but I remember auditing a course at the community college level, but not at a 4-year university.
Yeah, there's a
it's
lot.
possible. I mean, anybody look at the online universities too to see if they offer something. Their bread and butter is getting you to sign up online, but it's possible. And there's a couple of not-for-profit outfits out there too that do training, and I don't remember the name. What's the institute, Amnon, that provides all the tech classes? I don't remember.
I don't know.
A guy decided to start this online free.
Oh, Khan
university.
Academy, or you're talking about Khan Academy?
Yeah, Khan Academy. That's it.
Yeah.
They might have some introductory classes.
Well, I posted on the chat links to Coursera.
Okay. I got to see that.
They connect well-established universities, and they provide a lot of free and paid for courses. Some of the courses, even the paid one, you can join for free, audit them, and you don't get the credit because you didn't pay for, somebody to test you and check you and all that. But you get everything. So take a look at that.
Let's see. Even though if you took the course, what about these certification tests? Would that be also possible? I mean, you've taken the course for free. I'm sorry.
Some of them provide that. You can read all of the information about that.
Okay. See.
Good luck.
Right.
It's ambitious.
Yeah, it is ambitious.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good thing to do, Alfredo.
That I got certs on. It was mostly individual company product. There was I did get some certifications that were generalized from outside organizations, but most of the stuff I had was product-based certs. But I look at it today and I think, God, I don't even know where to start. Thank God I'm as old as I am. I don't have to do it. I should take my green screen away in the background here and show you my shelf of the books I still have that I kept, maybe 10% of the technical certs I had over the years.
But don't the certifications have to be like renewed every?
It depends on the
because
organization. Yeah, it depends on the organization. Most of them, I mean, they basically force you to do it because that's how they stay viable, because that's their source of income, is to have, like, for example, I used to have what they call the Building Industry Communications Services certification for intelligent buildings. And that started out as basically how to wire a building. It came out of the telephone companies, but it grew into fiber optics, wireless. It grew into all these different other disciplines that you had to take and be certified on. And I let it lapse because I couldn't afford to go to the convention. I had to go to a convention at least
Well-
once every other year and take so many hours of continuing education to maintain it. And it just got to the point where my company wouldn't sponsor it anymore, so I just dropped it. I had to. It's too expensive.
All right, Alfredo.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys, for the
Sure.
topic,
for-
and I'll be in the chat now.
Thanks for the call. Bye-bye.
Take care,
Okay.
Alfredo.
Bye.
919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. This is an interesting story here. Take it. Bruce Schneier, a well-known security guru, this week called on technologists to become lawmakers and policymakers so countries can deal with issues such as governance of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Said the future is coming. He was talking at the RSA Security Conference in San Francisco. It's coming faster than we think. And it's coming faster than our existing policy tools can deal with. And the only way to fix this is to develop a new set of policy tools. With the help of technologists, you understand the technologies. The issues are a lot larger than just computer security. He wants more public interest technologists in all area. And, it is so important to have, if you look at the different lawmaker committees that make decisions on technology, they really don't know anything about technology. They rely on those aides, the 18 and 19-year-old, to come and tell them, oh, yeah, you could do this. And no, you need the serious people to be there as lawmakers, as representatives.
Watch some of the Senate hearings and you'll see just how, like when they were interviewing Zuckerberg.
Exactly, I mean, he's got them wrapped around his little finger. And of course, they will not say, oh, I didn't understand that, because they don't want to look stupid. And
asking stupid questions makes them look stupid.
Well, I understand. But I mean, a lot of these people, probably all of them, will never say, I don't understand this. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain it to me?
I'd have more respect for them if they said, hey,
I know.
I haven't been using this that long. You
Right.
need to explain it to me and everybody else my age so
Yep.
we can understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
There's
would go
nothing,
further.
There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. Nothing. But yeah, it'll be nice if some technologists will get. Well, what do you think, Mike?
I think that water can be very wet.
Oh,
Unless it's frozen. That's very hard. Hey, we've had enough water here in North Carolina for a while. We need a break from all this rain. Not a drought, but a break.
Nick is not here, is he?
Oh, he showed up in chat.
I know, I saw him in chat, but I was trying to see if he's.
He is working 20-hour
Yep.
days.
I mean,
Ooh.
Nick moved the radio station, studio, and all this weekend, and it's amazing what he's doing all by himself.
Vic just said, did anybody watch the CEO of Twitter with Tim Pool and Joe Rogan? I watched the first one where they had the lawyer from Twitter on there with Joe Rogan and Tim Pool. It was very revealing. And then I haven't watched the one with the CEO yet. It's worth looking. Joe Rogan is an interesting character if you can take him. But
hard to take.
There are some interviews that are done there that are put it this way, it's gonna test your ability to not throw things. Some cases.
Well, I guess it depends on what your expectations for
Yeah, yeah.
are.
But I
If you know
mean,
what
but the couple that I've watched, I'm not into the trendy um, cultural stuff that they might talk about, but when they get into a tech subject and you have somebody on there that actually understands what the hell they're talking about, and Rogan can actually, you can sit there and you can see by the look on his face that he has no idea what they're talking about, but when he finally gets it, some people will fight back and just hold their position no matter what evidence is presented, but he will actually say, "Oh crap, I get this now." So, but he's a comedian first. So,
Is that what he is?
yeah, that was what he started as, a comedian.
Look kind of real serious one. I mean, the ones that I've watched.
Oh, he's kind of more. His whole thing is kind of morphed. It's
Oh.
like Steven Crowder. If you've watched any of his stuff, he's the guy that goes out to different places, mainly college campuses, and says, "I'm pro-life, change my mind." And he has people come and debate him. And he's a very fair uh, moderator with the people that are there, and tries to get people who would normally be screaming at him actually sit down and talk to him. And it's true revealing conversations. If you another situation where you're going to sit there and kind of shake your head to say, "This is what we're teaching people on college campuses." And then once in a while, you'll get a really good, serious conversation where somebody will actually tell you what they really think, not just the sound bites and the slogans.
All right. Listen to this one. Fearing that China would be spying on them using power cords and plugs, several U.S. technology companies have asked their Taiwanese suppliers to shift production of some components out of the mainland, Nikkei Asian Review reported. So some American companies are telling the Taiwanese suppliers, "Hey, we don't want this pieces produced in China." The report cited unnamed executives from two Taiwanese companies, Light On Technology, a manufacturer of electronic parts, and Quanta Computer, a supplier of servers and data centers. Light On's clients include Dell, EMC, Hewlett Packard, and IBM, while Quanta counts Google and Facebook among its customers, according to Nikkei. The executives told Nikkei that some of their American clients, without specifying which companies, asked them to move out of China partly because of cyber espionage and cybersecurity risks. The US tech firms were worried that even mundane components such as power plugs could be tapped by Beijing to access sensitive data, according to the report. Now, can you imagine we have to start worrying about power cords? I mean, that doesn't mean that it's not possible. There's enough room in cables to put components in there and
Well, if it's a smart charging device,
yeah.
it might, or it's got some type of power feedback or something. Why couldn't the chipset also do? Well, now I was just reading how there's evidence now that even if you are not logged into Facebook on your smart device, it's still collecting data about you. And even if you uninstall the app, it's still collecting data and sending it back to the mothership. So,
Yeah, it's getting worse by the day. Do you want a 2.4 gigahertz power cord or do you want a 5 gigahertz power cord?
well, how long before if we get the Green New Deal out there, will we
Yeah.
have smart power cords that are controlled by some outside entity that turn the power on and off on your individual device?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to plug in that old television that doesn't have the smarts in it? Well, you need to use this power cord because the power company and somebody behind them will actually watch the power and turn it off when
Uh,
you've used too much.
mhm.
So,
But
I never
amazing.
thought of that about all the smart plugs that are out there that could be monitored. Hmm.
Yeah.
Most Wi-Fi plugs, right? They require to phone home in some way. They require some service outside that you connect to activate. Most wireless IP cameras, right? That you have an app on the phone to access.
Oh
It
yeah, it's going
connects
to
through
somebody's
an
cloud.
external server. Yeah, people don't take that into account. Ring is a fantastic thing, right? It's so widespread. It has a presence already in the market that people actually know and identify it. They see your home. I mean, the company themselves, right? They have access to all the homes that are being monitored.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Nest cameras. Same with any other Chinese manufactured camera. So if you put that in, right, think about it that you're not the only one watching it.
I have cameras inside and out. My one inside camera is a tilt pan, which I keep turned towards the wall when I'm not using it. But
Yeah, but
the
that hooks up to your internal server. It doesn't go out, right?
it does. I
No,
can
it
get
Oh,
to it
has to
through my
go out.
smartphone app.
Yeah.
It's the
okay.
point of it is that I have sensors in the house that will tell me if a window or door open. I have window sensors, door sensors open, or if I have a leak somewhere, and then on that prompts me then to go to I have an outdoor system that I have 4 cameras on an NVR that I can go and look at the footage
Mm,
remotely. But on the inside, I have one inside camera that's just a simple tilt pan that I can look at real time and talk through it. So,
yeah,
but I keep that pointed at the wall. The outside ones, I'm not worried about somebody seeing the footage. But you're right. I mean, there was a while ago. It's been a couple of years. There was a list you could get that had all of the IP addresses and port numbers for all kinds of different manufacturers' um, webcams. And you could go to this. It was a page that somebody set up that you could, and it was thousands of cameras that they had discovered, and you could click on the different links to go to those individual cameras.
mm,
And it started out as public stuff, and then it started to be private stuff. Because, like you said, it's all the phone home and discovery stuff that people could intercept and look at the port number to say, oh, it's software port this, which means it's this camera. Kind of
that's
scary.
how they started the what's it called, the porn cam stuff, chatterbait.
Cha-ching.
Hey, we can charge for that.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how numb people are. Even when they see people talk about the evidence of this stuff, they still kind of say, well, I like my Alexa.
Yeah. Uh, it's like when putting analogy to technology, almost everything that we use, right, is like a postcard. It's not even an envelope, right? It's not even something that is closed and you can see whether somebody opened it at the other end. It's like everything is open. People need to remember that. It's all fun, it's fantastic, it's great, but it's open.
I was thinking about it the other day. We are actually always been and still are the guinea pigs for all these big companies. They're testing all that stuff on us. And they take that experience and they develop on it. They build on it. It's sometimes it's scary to think about things like that. Yeah. So Elizabeth Warren wants to break up Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. Oh, I don't know. Yesterday when I was sitting down to look at stories, I couldn't believe it. Every source had 3 or 4 articles about that woman. She
That
knows
woman,
what she's doing.
she has
She's
no
getting
clue what she's
herself,
talking about.
huh? It,
She came out of a consumer protection hole somewhere. That's how she became
yeah, but I mean,
noteworthy.
she's saying things, whether it's because she's stupid or because she's doing it on purpose, that gets her name up there,
Oh yeah. Well,
and
she's running for
it's
president,
yeah,
and she's trying to overcome the whole heritage thing that she faked for all those years.
yep. I'm waiting.
Try.
I'm waiting to see a commercial with her with the tear running down.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure somebody did a meme of that already. You can probably find it. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yep.
remember being up in, I guess it was Cape Cod when she was running for the Senate the first time, and watching the debate between her and the Republican candidate. And I was like, oh my God, this woman is just, because what organization was it? The government came up with a consumer protection arm that was under nobody's overwatch. And they're pouring tons of money into this thing, some consumer protection thing that was added. I don't remember the name of it. It's still there. I think it might have been defunded. But the point was they were pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into this thing, some consumer watchdog. And it turned out to be just a slush fund to do other stuff.
Mhm.
So, oh, we're
Yep.
talking about Elizabeth Warren. Alan was asking which woman.
Yeah. Um.
Alan,
That's
it's not just 304 in the race. it's 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 every day it changes. There's probably, oh, I don't know, we up to 20 candidates on the Democrat side. I don't know how many people are formally announced, but there's a great cartoon it shows of a stage with about 50 people on the stage. And then it shows one table with 3 people at it and one TV camera. It says the Democratic presidential debate.
we'll wait and see.
Alan said
Uh,
all women. I said, well, if the environment against men is extremely toxic, put it that way, to say that men would be successful, because either there's got to be if it's going to be a man man candidate for president, it's got to be a female candidate for vice president at a minimum, absolute minimum.
I know it's really it's really stupid when you think that we want to we want our candidate to win the next time, and we're going to put a woman up there because it's time for a woman. What do you mean it's time for? It's time for the best person. What do you mean it's time for a man or a woman?
No,
If
you're missing the whole identity politics
no, I
thing,
understand.
Amnon.
Yeah,
Get with the program here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll be the last one to say anything that a woman cannot be. I mean, uh,
There's there, there's lots of qualified women. The problem
oh
is
yeah.
they're smart enough not to run.
I mean, all around the world, women in politics did good.
Oh, well, yeah, look at Indira Gandhi, look at, Benazir Bhutto, I'm
Yeah,
gonna butcher her name, Bhutto. Look at,
Thatcher.
uh,
Look at Golda. Look
Imelda,
at
what was her, not Imelda Marcos, that was Marco, what was her name? Corzine Aquino, all these different,
yeah,
heads of countries, Margaret Thatcher.
yeah.
Um,
So
just
yeah, I mean, it's but to do it just so. Oh yeah, we want a woman there because she'll be able to beat Trump. Oh, jeez.
it's gonna be interesting.
And
And I'll
then you
never
have
forget the morning Pam and I were on a cruise on election day. We had done early voting and had limited access to the news, and got up that morning after the election on the ship and watched the news. And it was like, sat there with my jaw hanging down for 15 minutes watching the news, and finally said, we have to go ashore and find Wi-Fi access somewhere. And we did that. We actually found a coffee shop and just hung out in there drinking way too many cups of coffee so we could have Wi-Fi access so I could read news stories.
All right. You ready for the specials?
I am. I'm actually ready right now. Computers 2K Now specials. Are you ready?
I'm ready. There I am.
Yeah. For once, I'm actually got it up here. So, oh, now I have to take a break and go get a drink of water. Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, I'm set. All right, Computers 2K Now specials for March 10th, 2019.
But
And what?
Oh,
What?
go ahead. Go ahead.
That is today, right?
Yeah.
My atomic clock is right because I looked up at that. I didn't actually check the date anywhere else, so I could be wrong. But all right.
So what's
starting with
wait? I mean,
What?
you need to explain. You need to explain the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So what is the caption of the wife behind her husband?
Oh, I didn't include the caption. It was something about you better come to bed because you're getting too upset reading the news or something like that. I'd cut the caption off.
What if I ran out of memory?
He's just shocked looking at Mike is all he is there. But yeah, that's Nick at his booth at CPAC.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. So let's start with laptops. We have at Best Buy, we have a Dell Core i3 touchscreen Chromebook for Chromebooks are costing $450 now, and that's $150 off. They've come into their own. 14-inch Chromebook for $449, save $150. Office Depot has an Intel i5 Acer Swift 15.6-inch laptop for $549, save $150. Staples has a Pavilion HP 14-inch laptop i5 for $519, save $210. Desktops, all-in-ones, we've got at Best Buy Core i5 Dell desktop, 12 gig, 1 terabyte memory for $579, save $70. Office Depot has an Intel i5 and a Lenovo Idea Center all-in-one that's got a 23.8-inch touchscreen for $699, save $150. And Staples has an HP Pavilion i5 for $479, save $150. Tablets, we have at Best Buy a Samsung Galaxy Tab E 9.6-inch 16 gig for $149, save $50. There are OneNote Android tablets on sale at either Office Depot or Staples, so I just put up there the two Windows-based ones, but they're good usage for these machines. These are convertible laptops that where you can flip back and turn it into a tablet. Core i3 Dell touchscreen 14-inch, $379, save $120 at Office Depot, and Staples has an Acer Spin 14-inch i3 for $479, $170. Networking, we have at Best Buy the Netgear Orbi AC2200 tri-band mesh system, and this is the 3-pack, so it's got the base station and 2 satellites. This will cover a very large home. Good if you've got 3,000 square feet or more. This is the kind of system you want to get, especially if you have interference or dead spots. $329, save $20. Office Depot has a Linksys AC1200 smart Wi-Fi router for $79.99. That's 10 off. I'd consider that an entry-level router. You couldn't get cheaper ones. If you're going to look in this price range, probably better to look at TP-Link. Staples has a Netgear EX6100 dual band wireless router, wireless extender. Not only does it rebroadcast across a different Wi-Fi band to extend your signal, it also can do conversion. So if you want to plug in an Ethernet device on the other end of this, it will act as a repeater, and you can plug in, say, a printer that does not have Wi-Fi. So it's a handy little device there. So it's $59.99, which is $15 off the regular price. Storage, we have at Best Buy a Western Digital 8 terabyte USB 3.0 hard drive for $169.99, save $110. Amnon or Gal. What was that one you
That
mentioned that had
was
10?
159, was it, Gal? One,
That was a 10 for 169. Yeah, but that's it's no longer 169. It's 199 right now.
Yeah, I tried to
Oh.
find it. I couldn't find it.
I
So-
still get the link. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Price went
it's
back up. But this is still
But
for
it's
169 for an 8 terabyte. It's still pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is 200 for a 10. It's still good, but it's not as good. Yeah.
But wow, that's a big drive.
Yeah.
That's amazing. With that they can get that much on as many platters without a larger form factor. It's incredible. Okay. Office Depot has a Western Digital 4 terabyte external MyBook hard drive for $99, save 50. Staples has a Seagate Backup Plus portable 5 terabyte drive for $109, save 20. And Amnon and I were talking about this at lunch the other day, how that 10 terabyte drive that would sit on your desktop and literally be the size of a large book was more storage than some of the data centers I worked in at IBM.
Yeah.
And Gene knows this, I'm sure. But the strings of DASD that you would have to put just to put together 1 gigabyte of storage back in the 80s. It's amazing. Okay. Accessories. Logitech web program for $99 at Best Buy, which is $30 off. There's a 3-piece Logitech speaker system. It's 2 speakers with a subwoofer, the Z323 at Office Depot for $49.99, which is $20 off the regular price. And Staples has the Logitech K375S keyboard and stand. This is one of those universal keyboards that works with both Bluetooth and their proprietary 2.4 megahertz. They call it their connectivity kind of envelope for connecting to their devices. So you would have to get a separate mouse for this. But the nice part about it is the 3 keys that you see on the upper left will switch between devices seamlessly. It has a keep alive that keeps them all active. So if you have a tablet, a laptop, and another device, you can just switch between by pressing those different buttons. Very handy. And it's $29. It's $20 off. It's the price has really come down from when they first introduced this stuff. They straightened out the software. And originally, when they first had this, the firmware had problems with connectivity and battery life. But now it's been greatly improved. So the ratings of this stuff has gone up. Monitors and multimedia. We have at Best Buy a entry-level HP 20.7-inch full HD monitor for $89.99, which is $10 off. Office Depot has an Acer 24-inch full HD monitor for $99.99, 20 off. And Staples has a Dell 22-inch entry-level monitor for $99.99. Keep in mind it says non-mountable, so there's no Visa mount, but it does have HDMI. Printers and scanners. We have I would say a kind of middle duty cycle office wireless all-in-one printer. This is the Canon Pixma TR 8520 multifunction machine for $99. It's half price, $100 off. Office Depot has the Brother laser, black and white laser with duplex and wireless for $129.99. That's $30 off. It's a printer scanner copier. Staples has a Canon Image Class color laser printer for $184.99, which is $95 off the regular price. Home automation and security, we've got the Philips Hue Play white and color ambience smart light bar 2-pack for $129.99. Now that's an ad item, but it's not on sale. But this is a whole new approach. My son has a similar. It's really for mood lighting. You'd put it on top of a cabinet or behind something on a bookcase or whatever, and you would control it just like you would all the other U elements in the house. But it's a different approach. This is standalone stuff. It doesn't have to be screwed into something else. Office Depot has Amazon Smart Plug for Alexa for $24.99 each. This is not a brochure sale item. And Staples has the Amazon Echo second generation for $74.99, which is 25 off the regular price. But wait, there's more. Staples has QuickBooks Desktop Pro for $199, which is $100 off the regular price. If you're looking to upgrade or start out with QuickBooks, Staples also has, I had to throw this in there, Amnon, for you. Lazy Boy adjustable height ergonomic leather. I think it's leather like. If you look at the actual ad, I don't think it's an actual leather chair. It shows up as leather because they abbreviate the full description. But it's a nice chair for $149. It's $100 off. I had the great pleasure of installing my first Ring doorbell for someone this past week. I installed a Ring 2. I think the difference between the 1 and the 2 is that the 2 is a HD camera. There might be some battery life things. The form factor is the same, but it was reasonably easy to put in. The problem you have with the larger form factor one is that depending on what your current doorbell looks like, and if you are going to use the AC power supply to the doorbell button to charge this device, which is recommended, otherwise you'd have to keep taking the battery out of it and charging it separately. It can be a problem with the way it looks on the actual door frame, but there are different options to do that. But it went in quite well, and it was actually came with some nice utilities like an adapter, a backer plate that would either give it a few degrees tilt down. So if you're on a porch that had a lot of stairs looking down, you could adjust the angle of the camera, or a 15-degree side to side one. So if the doorbell was in a corner, or you're in a tight spot where you needed to point it a little bit in one direction or another, you could do that with these adapters. So this is not a sale item. This is just a $99 for the Ring 1. The Ring 2 is $199, and the Ring, I don't know if they call it the Ring 3, but it's the newer one that's got the smaller form factor and some other features in it. That's $249. But look around at the prices. But this is having it for $99 now is great. And I think Costco has a bundle that you can buy that's got the remote annunciator too that works off of Wi-Fi that you pair to the system, and it will not only ring the doorbell when you press the button, it will ring this annunciator somewhere in the house and give you a notification on your phone. Best Buy has iRobot controlled app mop. Now it's not just vacuums. If you've been to Target or to Walmart, they have big displays now of like 10 Roomba, iRobot, different brands. Hoover has a robot vacuum now. This is a big deal. I just didn't think that they did a good enough job, but apparently they do. My son's got one, and he uses it all the time. He got
So
it.
your kitchen floor is always wet.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the mops. I'm talking about the vacuum. But this is the first time I saw a mop. So you can control a mop. $179, $20 off at Best Buy. Best Buy also has a 1 terabyte SanDisk solid state drive for $129, which is 10 off. Office Depot has a Samsung 2 terabyte solid state portable drive. Well, this is a solid state drive. Look at the difference in price between 1 terabyte and 2 terabytes. $129 to $429, and that's $50 off. So it's going to catch up. But remember how much a 1T drive was just a year ago?
Yeah.
Crazy. Got a couple interesting items at Fry's. We've got the Sparrow 360 Wi-Fi selfie quadcopter drone, which I like the design of this because it makes it a lot safer. You've got a cage around the propellers. That's a cause for alarm in some cases when you're flying this thing around kids and it has either no or minimal propeller protection. It can really hurt somebody. But full HD, 12 megapixel still image camera for $79 or $49 with a promo code from, always check these things out. I bought my first one and sent it back because it was a piece of junk. And I got a different one that's much friendlier to fly. You want something that's got different modes, training mode, something that has station keeping and auto takeoff and landing just to make it easier. And then ones that have completely manual mode for you. You got to get it to a pretty good skill level before you can fly one completely manual. But the technology is moving ahead. The prices are coming down. It's great. And this next thing was just interesting because it has a built-in battery and it's got controls in the actual handle. This is a essentially a gimbal for smartphones, and it charges and lets you control the smartphone camera, different angles and things like that. Great way to hold on to the phone more easily if you're going to do a lot of filming with it. Some of the cameras now today are just absolutely incredible. So it's 119, uh, $30 off, but I checked, you can get it at Amazon for 99 bucks. But Free Vision Vilta Mobile handheld charging stand or charging handle for smartphones. Fry's has a couple of cyber power battery backup systems, a 1325 VA for 119 and 1000 VA for 98 bucks. And in this next section, I just stumbled across a lot of really nifty adapters here that I'm sure anybody can walk up to this and look at. Somebody can find something to say, "Ooh, I could use that." So let's go through this stuff. We've got a 1 to 2 HDMI splitter, which very basically will take a single HDMI and split it to two different devices, two different televisions, two different, one video source to two HDMI capable devices, $21.99. Two-port 4K HDMI bidirectional switch, which the bidirectional side of it is nice because you can have one HDMI input to two HDMI outputs, two HDMI inputs to one HDMI output, and supports 4K, no power source needed, and that's $14.99. They've got a 1 to 2 mini DisplayPort splitter, which can be very handy. DisplayPort being the new technology they're putting in a lot of devices now, where you actually have to tell it what the connectivity is on the other side of the adapter. The DisplayPort is really just a place to plug in an adapter. I want to have an HDMI adapter. I want to have a VGA adapter. I want to, whatever the technology is on the other side. But this is a 1 to 2 DisplayPort splitter. Interesting if you want to say you have a little mini desktop computer that has a single DisplayPort output and you want to hook up a 2-monitor environment to it. This is the way you can do it. It's a little expensive, $49.99. But it was normally $79.99. It's 25% off. Toslink to coax digital audio converter. So if you have a device like a sound bar or something a TV that only has a digital, a coaxial digital input, you can take an optical input and convert it to coax. Not all devices have both. Some of them have, I would say, more popular to see coax in older devices, although the digital's been around for a while. But this is a handy device, $17.99 to convert optical to digital coax, and that's $10 off. Micro SD USB 2.0 card reader for $1.99. It takes the micro SD cards and plugs it into a USB port. It's a tiny little thing. You can just keep it in your bag, whatever. 4-port USB 2.0 hub for $5.99. This is bus powered. It does not have an external power supply, but can come in handy. Throw it in your briefcase. USB-C 2-in-1 card reader for SD and micro SD. So USB-C stuff was expensive when it first came out. Now you see for $12.99, $7 off a nice reader for USB-C. USB 3.0 gigabit Ethernet portable network adapter for $11.99. That is a great price. Good to have in your kit if you do a lot of re-imaging and you have a laptop, for example, you load the operating system, there's no driver for your network or your wireless, and you need to get hooked up to the network to start downloading updates and so on. This is the way to go. $11.99, $8 off. We've got a USB 2.0 Bluetooth adapter for, I would use it for a laptop or anything, really. $5.99, $4 off. a 10-port USB 3.0 hub. And this was really interesting because what caught my eye was that it has switches. You can turn the USB 3.0 ports on and off. It does have a power supply, so it does support charging, but it has on-off switches. So if you have a bunch of devices that you want to connect, but you don't want them all running at the same time, you can actually power them on and off using this device. It's really, I mean, that's handy. $29.99, $10 off. Mini wireless AC600 dual band USB LAN adapter. Again, another, you want to hook up a machine temporarily or just bring AC connectivity, it's not real fast, to a device for $14.99. That's $10 off. And finally, a desktop 5-in-1 USB card reader. This supports USB, micro USB, and USB-C for $5.99. It's got a slot for SD and for micro SD. So very, very interesting USB card adapter. And that's about it for the specials for March 10th, 2019.
Well, thank you. You were talking about the extenders,
About what?
Wi-Fi extenders.
Yes.
And this week, I was talking with Marshall, and down in South Carolina, he has a home also in South Carolina. Whenever there was no signal, he will get an extender and put in that room and go about his business. A few months ago, he started having problems with calls are being dropped, internet disappears for a few seconds and comes back, or a few minutes. Security cameras that are hooked to the routers go away and come back, and they came and they changed the router, and I mean, we looked at everything. He said the other day, somebody was telling him, said, you may have too many extenders. So he pulled one out, and realized that he had enough signal in that room. And he said, ever since, there was no problem whatsoever in losing signal.
Was he daisy chaining them or just having like just a bunch of extenders off the main router?
No, they just, the wireless extenders are just hooked to the
Oh,
power.
you can actually, some of them you can daisy chain,
No,
meaning you could extend it out by having a hop out to a farther, but
I have
but
no idea.
this just shows you that if they're the same manufacturer, they may not
They are.
coexist with each other very well.
Yeah, they are the same manufacturer.
Because they all
They're all
they
TP
have
link.
algorithms for improving reception,
Well,
and they
but
might be working against each other.
It was just interesting to see that. Well, I took one out, and everything's still working fine. I mean, I'm not losing any signal. I mean, I don't have any weak signal anywhere, because it may be that the one he added after this one took care of that particular room. And I told him, I said, what you need to do is you need to start from scratch. You need to take out. He said, I'll do it in the future. I mean, right now everything is working, and he's using it for business, so he needs to have connectivity.
Well,
But
you need to, go do from scratch as though you were starting out with a clean environment and add them
Right.
per
Yeah.
the manufacturers instead of just,
Right.
It's kind of like the house I went to solve a problem with why GFIs are tripping.
Uh-huh.
And not an electrician. I wasn't going to be able, I just was trying to diagnose it. And I realized that the person who had done work there before had daisy chained 3 GFIs. So there was one in the panel, one in an outdoor location, and yet another one off that one. So I said, you have one, you don't need one. You don't need to extend one off the other. In fact, it's not to code to do that. It doesn't really give you anything. And that's what caused the problem, was because they had 3 of them hooked up basically in series.
Yep. But I mean, I had a situation here at the house with the Samsung speaker. I think I talked about it before. Kathy bought one of those Wi-Fi speakers for Samsung, and it every now and then it would drop, and you have to go and reset it.
Did it
And
break when it dropped?
no, it didn't break.
Didn't drop.
And
How far
the
did it
nice thing
drop?
is you could reset it, and it will just put itself together.
Yeah.
But taking out one extender did the trick. I had an extender just for it, and apparently there was it didn't know what to do.
People don't realize when you walk around the house, you are what percentage of your body is water? It's like 70%. And water is one of the worst
Yep.
Objects to try to pass radio signals through.
Right.
So you can be sitting at your desk and you move to the side and you can watch the Wi-Fi signal strength change. So if you're in your house and you have a bunch of extenders and they're all trying desperately to maintain connections, because that the nature of these things is they're smart enough now to oh my gosh, the signal strength dropped on this one. I'll switch over to this other one because it's stronger right at this moment because you walk through the room. And then it switches back. So you don't they're not designed unless they're part of a more intelligent system to do what they call seamless handoff. There are systems that you can get, and it's really for very high availability. They used to call it a Pico network, where you'd have adapters with special firmware in them that would not do a normal handoff. They would basically be in standby, waiting as signal strength changed to seamlessly hand off from one Wi-Fi hotspot to another or access point with no interruption to the signal or to the service to the device. So when you move around your house and the signal goes low enough that you switch to another access point, there is going to be a lag. So that's why it's important to have a system that works together so they can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting better and better. The AC standard and the new, I forget what the new, I guess it's AD is the new emerging standard, really do a good job. But you have to have an adapter that talks to your access point using the same technology for it to really take advantage of the controls.
As long as it's not ADD.
True mobility is a difficult thing because you're moving and the signal strength is constantly changing.
All right. Amazon is closing all 87 of its US pop-up kiosks, which let customers try and buy gadgets such as smart speakers and tablets in malls, Kohl's, department stores, and Whole Foods grocery. It's the latest change in Amazon's brick and mortar retail strategy. Apparently, it didn't take off, and they're closing them down.
Well, did you see the news about Whole Foods?
What about Whole Foods?
They raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, but to counter the cost, they cut everybody's hours.
Okay, but there's a little bit more to that sentence.
Okay.
But they require them to do the same amount of work in 38 hours that they previously did in 40 hours.
Whoa, I didn't know about that part.
Now, that's the hard part.
Oh, man. Yeah, it puts them under the threshold for having to. What's the cutoff for benefits?
No, that's 30 hours, and that's not
No.
it. That's not it. Now they do some of that to move them down, but let's say that you have at your job you have a certain amount of work you're supposed to accomplish within a week. You're given 40 hours to do it. They come in and say now you only get 38 hours, but your workload doesn't change.
I wonder what the wage was before when it was raised to 15.
I don't know. I think they ought to go to 250 an hour, and that way they'll quit complaining.
Well, I love it. I watched a guy, it might have been Steven Crowder actually, argue to say, okay, let's make the minimum wage 15. Well, it really should be. He's talking to somebody, an advocate for higher wages. Well, okay, 17. Did you like 17? Yeah, yeah. Let's make it 20. Is it 20 good? Yeah. No, well, why not make it 25 then? And you just kept going to fine with the guy. He said, well, 50. And the guy goes, well, we don't really need it to be that. But why? Well, so there is a number that is good. You're saying it's whatever your number is, but you see how ridiculous it is when you finally get out there to say the marketplace finds the wage and the wage. I don't want to get into
No, see, that's the problem is that you're making a logical argument against an
it. I
emotional.
know.
That's like using water to clean off oil.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. That means that kids during the summer cannot get jobs because employers are not would not want to hire just anybody and pay them that kind of money. And
I love the stories that came out of New York City with their recent change. And was it Portland? I guess Oregon did it where they raised it to 15 and how all the restaurants disappeared within the city limits. Like they couldn't afford it. They said, this is no people were complaining about the cost of food went up.
no,
Well, I worked in restaurants and it was a starter job. It wasn't meant to be
a career.
a career, although some people do have very good careers in restaurants. They work in high-end restaurants. I've worked with people who have side jobs working. They made it through school, waiting tables because they had good jobs. You could make serious money. It's hard work, but
Yeah, Hannah's been doing it now for years and bought a
Yeah,
house and she's paying her way through state and all that.
my experience working in a restaurant was horrible because it was not I was in school and worked as a cook and a short order cook and a waiter in a small luncheonette place, and it was just not good. I never really got any considerable tips to make it worth it. It just wasn't that kind of an environment. But it was a place to work that I could have flexible hours and work in the morning and then go to school in the afternoon. Oh. And I could eat as much as I want for free.
So Microsoft last week revamped Skype's browser-based client with a slew of new features. That's the one like the app that's built into Windows 10. There's a Seattle company this week announced the rollout of a major Skype for web update, which introduced high-definition video calling, a redesigned notifications panel, a revamped media gallery, and more. It's available on any PC running Windows 10 and Mac OS X 10.12 or higher with the latest version of Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge.
Edge is still a thing?
Huh?
Edge is still a thing?
Edge is still a thing now that there were reports that Edge looks just like Chrome because now they're changing it to use Chromium based on
Yes.
Chromium.
Yeah.
It says the bulk of the new capabilities debuted in preview last October, but they are available widely starting this week.
By the way, about
Skype-
that,
Huh?
by the way, about that,
Yeah.
right? The web interface, when you're loading it into Firefox, it says doesn't work here.
It doesn't.
Yeah, just change the find an add-on that changed the user agent string, and it works like a charm.
Talk about it because it says that it does not support Safari,
Right.
Firefox, or Opera.
So
So
all you need to do is find an add-on that allows you to change user agent. User agent is the way the browser identifies to the web server, and it says, "Hey, I know I'm a Mozilla type browser version, blah blah blah." And by the way, there's this whole long string, and a combination of these identify which browser you are on.
So what are you talking about? Find an add-on.
So for Firefox, you can install extensions, right?
Yeah.
Same with Chrome, same with almost any other browser today, and look for an extension that deals with user agent.
So there are.
Oh, Gal is gone.
Whoops.
Well, yes, there are apparently are extensions that'll do that. Really, is spoofing. You're just saying, like, if you sometimes you'll go to a web page on your phone and it will take you directly to the mobile web page, which is a skinny down one that's to appear better on your phone. Sometimes you can actually say, I would like to request the full web page to run instead of the mobile web page. So this is basically what it's doing. It's saying that I am a different device to report back to the server, and then it treats you. That's silly, because if it actually does work with those browsers, and all you have to do is identify as a different browser, then there's
Yeah.
really no technical issue.
All right.
What
What happened, Gal?
Yeah, no, this. I was talking about another browser, and Chrome threw me out. It happens like every single week. I use Chrome only for the show because I usually use Firefox, and Hangout doesn't work well on Firefox. Works better on Chrome. So I use this every time I log in, and somehow it always disconnects mid-show. It's amazing. It's like, what's your password?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's get Jack Dorsey on the phone. We can ask him.
So before I gotta leave.
Yeah, you gotta
anyway.
leave.
So I was talking about the user agent. I use user agent switcher, and for the Skype site, I set it up to identify as the worst browser that it can support. I think it's Internet Explorer or something, because then I know that Firefox can deal with all the technology around it,
Okay.
and it works fine. And if that doesn't work, then switch it to mimic Edge or Chrome. It's just the way it identifies to the server. HTML is HTML. There's a lot of differences in specific implementation for the browsers, but if it's based on Chromium, for example, Edge, right, and Chrome, Firefox uses. Although they use their own implementation of the web engine, they do share a lot of the technology, and most of it is compatible. There's no reason. It's like Microsoft saying, we don't care about Firefox, we're not going to test it, so we don't want to support it. So we'd rather tell people, go find another browser, right? And so the solution is to work around it.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Good to know.
It was annoying, but it was easy to fix.
All right.
Is there an add-on to say that I'm a lot more intelligent than I really am to the server?
Wow.
So it treats me differently.
You remember the when you would buy a software in a box and it would say install on Windows 95 or better? I tried installing it on Linux, it didn't work.
Just have to change the name, that's all.
Yeah.
Just
Okay, guys, I gotta leave.
That.
Have a good
Just
week, all.
use the user agent extension.
That's right.
All right, Gal.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Talk to you later. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. So the smartphone market continues to be challenged, and 2019 is projected to experience its third consecutive year of declining shipments. Worldwide, smartphone volume are forecast to fall by 0.8% in 2019, with volumes dipping to 1.39 billion. However, the smartphone market will begin to pick up momentum this year with year-over-year growth of 2.3% expected in the second half of the year. Over the long term, smartphone shipments are forecast to reach 1.54 billion units in 2023. I mean, they're making better phones. They're making expensive phones, so people are not updating as much. Uh, they're not getting new phones. They're using old phones. We talked about it before, and there's nothing wrong with that. And
There's
if Nick
no phone like an old phone.
and if Nick was here, he would say, "Yeah, look at Amnon. He's using a Galaxy. What is it? 3?
But what kind of screen resolution would I got on my Motorola flip phone?
No. Well, if it's good enough, it's good enough.
But it just has like 200 dots on the screen. That's it.
I get some pictures on it, not just that.
No, I'm talking about the original Motorola flip phone. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
1994
Yeah.
flip phone
Yeah.
that I had all kinds of accessories for. I had a docking station for the car that could go up to 3 watts, and then I had a special antenna on it, and then I had another screw-in antenna that was an external antenna for the car. Oh, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I didn't pay for it. My company did, so I could have connectivity. But the original that my very first personal cell phone was a flip phone, and then other ones that I bought for family were the bricks because they were selling the bricks off cheap. Pam
Um,
used to have it. I kept it under the seat in the car.
yeah, they worked.
They did. They did
Yep.
work. And the analog radio was a lot better for your brain than the new digital radios. The digital
Yeah.
radios fry your brain faster, scrambles it up because the analog stuff was soothing. Right, Mike?
Mike's gonna go hard. But
Right.
Gene is saying, mentioning about Chrome being hacked a couple of weeks ago. Google said last week that a Chrome 0-day, the company patched last week, was actually used together with a second one, a 0-day impacting the Windows 7 operating system. It says the two 0 days were part of ongoing cyber attacks that Clement Lassig, a member of Google's threat analysis group, discovered last week on February 27th. The attackers were using a combination of Chrome and Windows 7 0 days to execute malicious code. So, yeah, there was a problem with Chrome, Gene, but they patched it, and then they found out that it was actually by itself it wouldn't do much, but because Windows 7 apparently had a problem, uh, together it created a problem. Google said that Microsoft is working on a fix, but did not give out a timeline.
No.
Well, I stopped using Chrome some time ago when Gal was talking about Firefox, and I went to it, and sure enough, it works great.
I'm actually considering now. I want to move my stuff that I have on the Mac. I want to. I should say better. I want to synchronize it with the Lenovo uh, Carbon laptop I have now, and I want to use. I figured because I'm using Firefox on the Mac, I'm just going to synchronize the two Firefox setups for bookmarks and all that between the two. Because when I go to Alaska this year, I'm not taking my Mac with me. It's just too darn heavy. It's the original, very first unibody MacBook, and it's heavy. Still works, but it's heavy.
Huh? Let's see what else. Oh, at a Taipei event early today, which was last week, Intel revealed that USB4 will once again utilize dual channels to achieve 40 gigabits speeds. 40 gig. Even on existing 40 gig certified USB-C cable. Is
40
better
gig.
yet? Huh? You were saying? What were you saying, Spence?
No, I thought Mike said something.
Oh, um, thanks to Intel finally offering Thunderbolt 3 to manufacturers with open licensing, USB4 will be integrating this technology and thus effectively becomes the new Thunderbolt 3. I thought Thunderbolt was an Apple thing, but apparently it's Intel. USB4 will pretty much be the mother of all wired connectivity options. It will be ready for more powerful PCIe plus DisplayPort devices. That's interesting. It'll take 18 months. And the first device hitting the market, don't expect to see USB4 powered commercial device until sometime in 2021. But USB4 is already on the horizon. Um,
USB4.
USB4.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, wake up, and it's USB 6.
Why not?
Well, I mean,
There was some criticism about Trump because he mentioned in talking about 5G that we need to get out in front of 5G and also 6G. And people said, "Oh, 6G, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist. You're an idiot." And it turns out that there's already a working body working on 6G. The planning stages of it now, because 5 is pretty well defined. It's just uh, the implementation.
yeah,
And
it's
6G, they're defining now what 6G is going to be.
yeah. AT&T defined 5G, right?
Oh, 5G is that's the working body has got it. 5G. They're already starting to implement tests
I'm being
trial markets out there. So it's already there. It's a thing. It's working.
I'm being sarcastic.
What?
I'm being sarcastic. AT&T, and they put that.
Oh yeah, with
fake,
their 4G phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was just they just changed the logo.
Yep.
Not a problem.
No. Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
I've heard about some website that popped up somewhere here about North Carolina. Were you telling me about it?
Wasn't me.
Websites for what?
Oh, just articles about it's actually conservative.
I know there was one that was started a couple of weeks ago that died.
It did die?
Well, there hadn't been.
Oh yeah. There was some type of a splash page for stories. You showed me that, Amnon. I think you showed that to me.
The cardinalrecord.com.
Yeah. Whatever it was. Yeah. It's gone already?
I don't know.
It was a news aggregator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like whatfinger.com.
Wet?
What? WHATFING. Wet finger? No. Whatfinger.com. Oh boy. Don't go there.
Quick, grab the domain name.
He bills himself or they build themselves. I don't know if it's a guy. They build themselves as the drudge alternative, wanting to be the best news aggregator.
Yeah, an interesting. These coexist bumper stickers with all this stupid crap in it.
Yeah.
And these people, I saw a really old and worn out liberal bumper sticker a couple of days ago that said something about temperance and coexist and all that, like they used to say in the old days before they developed Trump derangement syndrome,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's got I guess it's just a little blurb here that says, "I refuse to coexist with people who want to behead me."
Mm.
Yeah. How do you negotiate with people whose first demand is that you be beheaded?
You cannot force someone to comprehend a
Nope.
message that they are not yet ready to receive. Still, you must never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
Mm.
One interesting thing is sort of going on in my neighborhood. Google Fiber just buried in front of my house.
Mm.
I thought they were moving out.
Apparently not. They just buried new fiber going all the way down my street.
Wow.
There must be areas that they are sticking with. They're just not expanding out of. They might have had originally planned to be there and just getting around to it.
Well, they had a right of way back in 2015.
Yeah. They're not coming to Apex. We know that.
They can't afford the water prices.
Well, it was, I think the real reason for it was why go with the largest single right of way entity you can deal with, which is Duke Power. Why go with Apex Power Cooperative when why deal with a whole separate agency when if you go with Duke Power, that covers most of the area and we just weren't big enough, but not attractive. They begged. But what do we beg them? Come, we want you here.
I don't know that I agree that they wouldn't want to be there because Apex is getting packed in like a sardine can.
Oh,
And
it's
density is
worse than that. It's like it's incredible that
actually, they probably went over there to hook it up, and they're still stuck on 55.
they probably are. Yep. I'm still I just had this discussion with somebody yesterday about the uncontrolled. Nobody's talking to anybody else, or it's all like wink, wink about how they're just developing everywhere. That they're putting up townhouses like it was um, a blight on the land. Just let's get as many as we can, pack them in. Let's triple the density and not do anything to the roads until it's already too late.
It's already too late.
Yeah, it's already too late. It's
And, all
that's
this
why.
2+ years of work they did on I-40 between Cary and Raleigh.
Oh, it's already obsolete.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that you go by there at 5:15 in the afternoon, and it's bumper to bumper on the brand new section.
Was talking to somebody yesterday who lives down in Holly Springs and said that the whole 55 bypass project is already obsolete, but they put in so many traffic circles that they can't expand the road because the traffic circle can only accept 2 lanes going through it at any time. They can't make it 3 lanes in each direction. It won't work
Uh,
unless they tear out all the traffic circles.
you
Mm.
need to run for office.
So
Everybody else is.
I told you, Mike, about how the townhouse that we own is on the list to be bulldozed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, as far as I know, has the plan hasn't changed. The interesting thing is I'm getting mail uh, on the average about once a week of people wanting to buy the townhouse. Cash offer for your townhouse. And I'm like, why is that? Unless they think they'll lowball me, because apparently people have told me, talked to an FHA appraiser, said that usually the DOT offers, if you don't contest it, are actually very good.
It's supposedly fair
Yeah.
market value.
Yeah. But they will not penalize you. And so the part that hurts is we have an assessment this year, a $500 assessment for repairs. It's like, great, I'm going to pay this for something that in a year and a half they're going to tear down.
Well, you could argue, when they make you an offer, you can go back and say plus 500.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm going to say, you have to. The offer you give me is assuming that this place is intact and going to stay here, because otherwise you devalued my property and then give me a lowball offer because you
Somebody
devalued it. So I think I'm not going to contest it. Obviously, I'm not happy with it, but
Anytime somebody comes along with a cash offer, they're looking to lowball probably
oh, sure. Yeah.
hold on to it and turn it over at fair market value. So they're probably going to offer you half of what it's worth.
And they'll just wait for the easy no sale offer to come in a nice check and you sign on the line. Here you go, take the property. Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, my situation is different, but there are people that actually built beautiful Charleston-style homes right on Center Street on 1010 there, with the idea that they want to retire within a mile of downtown Apex, and their houses are gone.
Well, there's also a seedier side to this, and if I were tasked with proving it, I would be unable to do so without sitting back and watching it for a couple of years. But there are also people who are very skilled at getting better than appraised value for condemned properties, and they would also be out trying to buy it for a song, knowing that you're going to get 150, they're going to get 200.
How do they do it? Who do they influence?
Well, they're either well connected or there's some skills associated with doing it.
Somebody told me to get uh, when they make the offer or when you hear the offer's coming, get an appraisal,
Well, sure,
just to protect yourself and to have something, a baseline to work from,
sure.
not from Zillow.
No, no, most real estate agents can give you one that's within 5%.
I have a friend, real estate agent, who would do it for me.
Alan's asking you some questions in chat.
Oh,
And while he's asking, and while Spence is reading,
Alan, sorry, I can answer his question. That's
all
the
right.
same one I have, late 2008, 13-inch aluminum. That's the one I've got, very first generation. And my son worked for Apple at the time, and the machine that I bought was one that had been set aside for running their payroll, or as a backup machine for running their time cards or something like that. So it was never used, in the box, formatted, used specifically for that. And when they updated their store inventory, they sold it to the employees at discounted prices. I don't remember what I paid for it. Might have been about $600 or $700 back then. I can't remember, but my son got it for me. Yeah, I upgraded mine to 4 gig of memory, and it has a Core 2 Duo, I think, is the processor.
It does what it's supposed to do, right?
And I also put a bigger hard drive in it. Oh, 1 terabyte. Wow,
Um,
nice.
so
I'm not.
yes,
I want to explain this to me. I asked a question on a shared server that I have. I asked, is there a way to get a vanity DNS pointing to the server? And I don't think they answered my question correctly. Maybe they did. Let me tell you what they said, and then you explain it to me.
well, first of all, explain what is a vanity.
Instead of it saying ns1.deltaforce.net, it might say dns1.spenceshouse.net.
Okay, all right, go on.
It says you may change the name servers to whatever you would like. Access the basic web host manager setup module in web host manager, and within you will be able to set custom name servers.
Right, that's correct.
Well, I don't understand what that means. Does that mean I have to go outside and find
No.
a DNS service?
No, what you do, I mean, like right now, the way that ours work for Delta Force, we decided, why reinvent the wheel? Linode has great name servers, but all of the customers that I have already ns1.deltaforce.net and ns2.deltaforce.net and ns3.deltaforce.net. So what Ron did is it's like an alias. You said it. ns1.deltaforce.net is actually this IP address. So you can, but you have to have the domain name. Your domain
Of the
name.
vanity server.
That, what do you mean that's not?
Who owns Namebright DNS?
Who owns?
Namebrightdns.com.
I have no idea. But you don't have to go to them. If you have MikePhillips.com, you can assign an ns1.mikephillips.com in your record to be the DNS, and then anybody can use it that you give them permission to. So you said that
Where
ns1.mikephillips.com.
do I set that?
How do you? What do you mean? I don't.
If I just go in and type in on one of these domain names, if I go in and type ns1.mikephillips.com, it'll die because it doesn't know where to go. And there is no ns1.
No. You don't understand. You don't understand something. It's that's what I was.
You were talking when I was talking. What did you say?
I said you assign in the Mike Phillips DNS record, which exists, because otherwise you don't have that domain name, right? Because you have. So you assign in there, you put a record that says that ns.mikephillips.com is this IP address. It's an A record.
An A record. Okay.
And at that point now, if anybody types NS1, just like they type www.mikephillips.com, www is assigned in your DNS record as your website. So you set up ns1.mikephillips.com, and you have to put the real IP address of the name server, wherever it is. It's their own, the shared. And from then on, once you run it and it propagates, anybody that will type that name, it will go there. But of course, you have to have permission from them. And I'm assuming that it's a blanket permission for people that host with them. Because there's also, they have to, Jason is online. I wonder what because that's his thing. He's not talking about
a website that will look up a IP address and tell you who owns the server.
Do you have access to a Linux machine?
No.
Or you want to go on the I don't remember their name. I have a list on my browser. Just go on Google. Go into your browser and type web-based NS lookup.
Oh, okay.
And pick one of them. And I know one of them is cloth something. And you can find out what everything is. And it'll be a good idea for you to lower the time to live period to like 5 minutes, so you can switch back and forth, and it's not going to take it down while you change it. But yeah, you can do that. I mean, I don't know that you call it vanity. This is the way it's supposed to work on your own domain if you want to be professional. All right. It's that time of day. Anything else?
I can smell food.
Mike?
Nope, I already ate.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike, Spence, Gal, Nick. I know he was in the chat. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Tonight at 7, Nick hosts Against the Norm. And at 9, Mike Phillips hosts The Crypto Culture Show. Both these shows are on Wilmington Big Talker 106.7 FM. And you can listen on TuneIn if you're not in the local area. And link to TuneIn is in the links on the left. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.